Hello and welcome to the Astrology and Spirituality Show for week commencing the 6th of September with Alyssa and Patrick Arundell. We hope you're well. Thank you for joining us. Now this week, of course, is a glorious new moon in the sign of Virgo. Virgo energy is very much about efficiency, purity, making sure that we make the most of our resources. It's an earth sign. It's ruled by Mercury. So our practical thinking can help us to make improvements. But this particular new moon on the 6th or 7th, depending on where you are in the world, is angling up brilliantly to Uranus, the planet of change, the planet of truth, the planet of innovation, the planet of freedom. So if you can take some completely fresh approaches to the basics in our world, the next month can really see some, real traction developing. We could say, in terms of the overall zodiac, that Uranus is in house 2, very much about resources. So also a good time to, micromanage our resources a little bit, but perhaps look at them in a fresh way. An ideal time to declutter our houses, be a bit more organised, but use some imaginative approaches to that. We might also look more carefully at diet, cooking from scratch, and perhaps trying some different recipes with the Uranian influence so strong. So that's going to be the highlight of this week. And Elisa, what is the issue this week with the card with the Hermetic Wheel? Is it just one card or two?
Well, we are just on one card for this week. We started off with it for the end of last week, but we have it for the entirety of this week. And I'll pop that wheel on the screen so you can see exactly where we are. We are in the Nine of Pentacles realm. The Nine of Pentacles asks us to allow ourselves a little bit of luxury. It's not a card that is afraid of having a bit of a splurge. Now, for different people, that's going to mean different things. We all have different budgets. For some people, that might mean splurging on a more big ticket item, like a car, for example. For others, it could be more self-care. So we take that time to have that long hot bath. We put a face mask on. We listen to some music that we like. We take some time out of work and say, no, I'm having half an hour off to spend in nature. We have to give back to ourselves this week with this card.
That's interesting because that's quite a contrasting energy to the new moon in a way.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
But it just shows that with Virgoian energy, lovely that it is, you can see us becoming quite focused on a narrow range of things. So I think really what the Nine of Coins is saying there is to remember to think big as well, to just create the bigger picture as a contrast to that more precision-orientated Virgo energy.
I love that.
Now, in terms of the word for the week, we have
a really brilliant word from Mimi, so thank you so much for entering it. It is ecclesiastical.
Really? Well, that's a fantastic
Really
word.
lovely word.
I sense kind of incense. Takes me back to my Roman Catholic days when it was all still in Latin. So what does it mean?
Well, it's funny because it is a word that derives from Greek, which means to form an assembly. And this word is very often associated with the Christian faith and a Christian church. So anything to do with Christianity, we're talking here about maybe a Bible, prayer, pews, maybe even those beautiful windows that you can see in churches. So, and it can also represent the hierarchy of the church, of the clergies. So for example, in Catholicism, you would have a priest, you'd have a bishop, an archbishop, a pope. So it's anything to do with that religion and anything to do with anything that goes with that religion.
Oh, that's brilliant. I really love that.
Yes.
And we also had another question, a really brilliant question, I thought it was.
It's from Gillian S. So you wrote in and you asked, what does it mean if you pull an oracle card reversed? And I thought it was a fantastic question because in tarot, we obviously have reversed cards. Now, it would be easy to think that a reversed card just means the opposite of what it means upright. In some cards in tarot, that is true, but not for all of them. Sometimes a reverse card isn't the opposite of the meaning of it upright. So every card in tarot has been given its specific meaning, its purpose, reversed and upright. With oracle cards, we don't get that. So I personally don't read oracle cards reversed. You could use your intuition. What I love about Oracle is that it frees you up more to use your intuition, whereas Tarot has those definitive meanings. So just to answer your question, I personally wouldn't worry about reading Oracle cards reversed.
I thought you explained that absolutely fantastically well. Now, before we just move on to the next segment of the show, just like to say thank you for all your comments, your interaction. Also, we'd be grateful if you subscribe to the channel. Please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. If you'd like to sign up for your free daily horoscope fired to your device each morning, please see the link to subscribe beneath this video. Also, there is the new moon, the Virgo new moon video. And also I've now released the year 2022 horoscope videos for the sun and the ascendant. And already they're beginning to get some views, but if you look beneath this video, Elisa will share the link to the playlist for them. Now, also, we'd like to tell you about a very special offer. If you do order your personal year 2022 forecast for next year, but you order it this year, we give you the rest of this year free, plus your character analysis and 30% off. So that's quite a wonderful offer if you want to take advantage of that. And the link to do so is beneath this video. Now, before we have the modality of the week, I think we need to announce the winner of the 3 birthday prize draw.
Drum roll! So, your name on YouTube is K-Pop and Chill, and we're very pleased to announce that you were pulled out of the astrological hat for this week's draw.
Oh, great. Well, thank you for Elisa. Elisa chose this week's winner. I have to say, Alini, you did enter for week commencing the 30th and I missed it. So I've sent you an email with your free 12-month forecast and character analysis. And I've already done that this morning. So hopefully you've got that in your inbox now. Apologies for my oversight. If anyone else has entered, we're sorry that you weren't the winner, but if you would like to enter in the competition for your birthday from the 13th to the 19th of September, so if your birthday's across those days, please send in your entry and hopefully you'll be lucky. But let's have a look at the winner, because as usual, I haven't had a chance to do so yet. Right, so what I can see with this lady, the winner, is that she's born on the 7th of September in 1961 at 9:50 a.m. in Radomsko in Poland. And I think it's part of Poland where the border's shifted around a bit over the years. But I understand you've lived in London for some years now. So what we can see, and Lisa's sharing your chart on the screen now, is the sun obviously is at 14 degrees in Virgo, but your moon is 13 degrees in Leo. So that gives you a more exuberant personality in some ways, a Virgo personality, very much about loving to help people, loving that organisation and that structure. But you do have 4 very important influences in the sign of Leo. Not least, you have the position of Venus in a conjunction with the moon. Now, this is one of the most beautiful of all conjunctions because it confers a lot of charm. And in the sign of Leo, kind of like a very charismatic charm. You also have your North Node in Leo conjunct Uranus, and they're all in the 10th house. So your ability to cultivate influence with people in positions of authority has probably always been quite strong. I think there's a mixture of diplomacy, but also an ability to follow your own instincts with Uranus on the North Node. But the other thing that perhaps you don't know is that if we take the midpoint between the moon and the sun in Virgo, it's actually 29 degrees Leo. So I think the balance of your nature is much more Leonian than it is Virgoan. So at the other end of the heavens at the moment, we have the move-in Jupiter, and that Jupiter has been just right on the end of your 7th house cusp of your midpoint. So I think something around a relationship has been, you know, very much in your situation, but also Saturn has been opposite your Venus and also your moon. And Saturn is in your 4th house and Pluto is on your natal Saturn and also your natal Jupiter, and they're both in your 4th house. So some kind of transformation about where you live, I think, is entirely possible. But I think because of the position of Saturn this year and its square with Uranus, which has gone on for most of this year, you know, within a fairly close amount of degrees. We've had 2 exact squares so far. The third will be on the 24th of December. But each time that's happened, that's been picking up exactly on your moon and your Venus. So I think there's possibly been some strain, some tensions at work, perhaps around a close relationship. I think something is definitely in the works of an alteration in your world, because when we get Pluto right on Saturn, as it is, the moving Pluto in the sky, right on Saturn in its dignity in Capricorn in your natal horoscope, but it's right conjunct it in the 4th house. Something around home, family, emotions is in the works, and I think Uranus is causing a degree of turbulence. It's in your 7th house at the moment, so maybe it's around a relationship. Now you also have in your natal chart Mars in the sign of Libra, but it's just tucked up in your 12th house. That probably has given you a love of more psychological projects and interests. But, you know, Mars in the 12th house can be quite challenging. It is actually in a beautiful link with your Venus and also your Mars. So this points towards maybe at times in your life you've had some kind of position of authority, but perhaps it's also included being behind the scenes or working in the psychological realm in some way. But you do have a lovely ascendant in Libra, but that does mean as Saturn, Jupiter and Pluto have been moving across the 3rd and 4th house cusp, they have been squaring up your Mars and also your ascendant. So I think the last couple of years it's probably been a little bit challenging. So some kind of change is in the works. Now in terms of your solar return for this year, the midpoint is actually in Virgo, because you essentially have a new moon on your birthday return. So that's lovely. And they're in the 6th house, but you also have Mars and Mercury in the 6th house too. The 6th house is very Virgoan. So the things that I've been talking about for the new moon, those are all areas that I think can transform in your situation this year. But Venus is right on your descendant in the 7th house, but it is squaring up the moving Pluto in the sky. So again, the potential for change around a relationship, but also if you're not in a relationship, perhaps somebody is set to come into your world over the next year. So you do have a T-square between your solar return ascendant in Aries, the descendant in Venus, they're T-squaring the Pluto in the sky, and that's in the 10th house. So you might have to show a little bit of leadership, strength of character. It may be balancing what you need to do as an individual with what you feel you should do for others. Because one of the things with Virgo people is there's often a great ability to be of assistance to people in a practical way. Not servile, but be of service in a helpful way. But maybe this year you need to toggle what you do for others and what you're doing for yourself. And I think that's going to give you a bit of a challenge. Well, I hope that helps. Now, in terms of the modality for this week, what have you chosen?
We're going to use the Healing with the Angels Oracle cards. And they're very gentle, very loving, but I think very direct as well.
Oh, that's super.
So that'll be good for this week. Would you like to pull one this week?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Oh, that is gorgeous. So the word on this card is support, and we have this earth in the middle, and surrounding this earth we have fairies, sort of angels, ancestors. I like to think of this as, I think we spoke about this in other videos, that we're not alone. We are the culmination of all our ancestors who've had very difficult, lives, and we're here and we're a product of their survival. And they are always with us, in my view. So if we ever feel alone, or like we're going into almost a battle alone, we're not. We have an army of celestial supporters behind us. Maybe our guardian angel, our past over loved ones, some sort of spirit guide, animal
lovely.
guide. You know, we're
That's
never
lovely.
alone, we're supported, and that's just the reminder for this week, I think.
And just as I'm looking to the right on her chest is a picture of Alyssa and her mum, and her mum came to visit us this week, which was absolutely brilliant. Do you think Mummy Cruz would mind if we shared one photograph of her
No,
with you?
she wouldn't.
So we'll
She
share a
wouldn't.
photograph on the street. It was absolutely brilliant having Joe here. And so that support was great, and we were able to talk about Alyssa's grandparents, who she was very, very close to. So yeah, that was really lovely too. So you can see it's gorgeous weather here in West Wales today. We have had a spell of dry weather, but a little bit cloudy. So wonderful to have the sunshine in. And today we've got 2 more visitors. We've got my son and his wife arriving about 2:30, Jason and Christine. So we're very much looking forward to that. And we hope you have a great week. It's a Virgo new moon week, a real chance to, in some ways, take a little closer look at some of the things we do, some of the structures in our life, and, you know, show a little bit of self-critique without going overboard, but also embracing the joy of that 9 of coins too. So, from Mrs. Arundell, it is.
Goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from her. Goodbye.